Well, hello, my bits, my little bits of sunshine. How are ya today? My name is Veronica. I come to you from Northern California. Myself and my other half are with Chasing Sunshine on all the platforms. So if you want to hop on over to YouTube and subscribe and do all the things, then that would be wonderful. So today we are going to be working on a couple little projects, one of them being making a riser out of a candlestick. I prefer to use wooden, but you can use any type of candlestick. And we're going to use this little tin. Now I did paint this already in aviary with the DIY clay-based paint, but we're going to paint over it because I don't have this color here and I want to add some woodjebin to it. So with that said, we're going to be using some woodjebin, some DIY paint, and stuff. If you're interested in that type of content, stick around. Let's jump right into the project. Here we go. Okie dokie. So we're going to start off by using, I think I decided to go ahead and use Prairie Gray and beadboard. I'm thinking kitchen. I'm thinking this would be good in the kitchen for anything fruit, veggies, keys, smell, whatever you want. So I feel like if I use like the more monotone, like natural colors, that they would probably go better in quite a few kitchens. So I'm going to use, I feel like the beadboard or the Prairie Gray on the green, on the 10. And the reason is because I actually have one of these risers in our kitchen and I painted mine a white swan and it gets dirty, basically. It gets dusty. We have wood stove, you know. So I figured we'll paint it a little bit of a darker color. Now we'll hide a bit of that dirt if you might have it. Always moisten your bristles if you can when you use the Klingon brushes. This is the S30, which is kind of the shorter handle, smaller version of the S50, which is one of my favorite brushes. It's a lot of information. It's a Klingon brush and it's a really good. That's all I'm trying to say. And this Prairie Gray color is such a gorgeous color. Of course, I am all about the khaki, about the earth colors, and this is all of the above together. So let's see if you guys can see what I'm doing here. Boop. Get you pointed down, brought in maybe a little baby bit closer. Okay. Yeah. This stuff is super thick. I mean, come on, that's like one coat and it's already covering that aviary in one coat. So it's more than likely only going to take one coat to cover this. And I'm painting it separate from the base just because of ease of getting in all the nooks and crannies. And I did not bring my glue gun with me here during my lunch break. And so I just have some standard glue. And so after we paint it, we're going to set it up with glue. And then when I get home, I will then put a brad in it to keep it sturdy. And so back to the wood candlestick base. That is why I prefer to use wood, because it's easier to then connect whatever top that you might be using for your riser into that wooden base. That's why I like to use wood, if I can. That's not to say you can't use a metal candlestick or a resin candlestick, because I have. You just have to, you know, really use a good glue so that it doesn't come apart, because I have had them come apart as well. I used wood glue on a resin candlestick and a metal topper like this, a metal riser topper, and it did come apart on me. Thank God I hadn't taken it into my shop yet for sale. Okay, so I want all the little, sometimes you get these little chunks of clay in there. If you don't like the texture of the look, then you just kind of lift them up and out. Not a big deal. Okay, so, you know, I meant to actually put this woodjebin on for a handle, and I totally forgot. So now we're going to have to put that on after this coat dries. And we're going to set this aside. Now I have just went ahead and painted all sides at once, and then it comes to the problem of the drying it. How am I then going to dry it properly? So with that said, we're going to paint the top, let it dry, paint the bottom, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm going to go two-tone with this and use beadboard for the base. And we're going to use another S30. Whoops, that wasn't very cool. It was all right. Again, moisten your bristles. Keep it nice and hydrated. And then I did wipe this off, but I really don't. For decor and stuff, you know, you don't have to like, this is terrible, I shouldn't be saying this. Okay, I don't thoroughly clean everything. I wipe it down and I'm good to go with, especially things like this where if some of the paint were to chip off, I would probably like that because I like the chippy drippy look, right? If you definitely want to ensure good adhesion, clean your projects, clean your pieces, whatever it is that you're painting, clean them well. Clean them with some sort of degreaser and then clean off the degreaser after that. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but what I just basically was pointing out is that I just wiped this off with a paper towel. I didn't even like use any sort of soap or cleaner, and it's because I don't mind if a little bit of the paint chips off. Because again, I like that look. So yeah, this is going to take, you know, like 1.5 coats to get it thoroughly covered though. Just want to make sure you go back and forth over the areas so that if you do have any like buildup or drippy clay areas that you don't want, you want to make sure that you smooth them out at this phase for sure. Your foundation is always the most important area in anything in life. Really. And I feel like this two-tone is going to look pretty sweet because we're also going to use a stencil. I was thinking of a stencil on the riser there. Just to keep it fun and interesting. Oh, you know what? I don't even have my other overhead light on. One moment, please. I got kind of a short lunch today because we have all kinds of fun things going on. For Easter, we're dyeing eggs for the local community today at 2, and then we have like a movie going on here for the kids afterwards, so all kinds of fun stuff. Yes. Set this aside, let that dry, and this is where I'm going to I brought my handy dandy brand new DeWalt that my other half bought me, heat gun. It's not super loud, watch. That ain't too loud, right? And that's on high. And so this does not dry as fast as your standard like heat gun would, your electric heat gun. It's just not quite as powerful as that. And this is a fully charged battery, but it does work. And so I figured in lieu of trying to find a plug to plug in my hairdryer every darn day, we're just going to do this, okay? It might take a little longer, but I'm focusing mostly on the areas in which I'm going to place the handles. I got this pretty little tin at the Goodwill for like $1.99, and I just really like the shape of it. The shape is super pretty, and so I thought it was interesting, and I originally bought it because we redid a nightstand for a kitchenette for our granddaughter, and I thought I was going to use this for the sink, but I didn't actually end up using it as a sink. It was a little too wide, so we're going to use it as a riser. Okay. That's that story. I should have this, this is Would You Bin 10, so it's 1017-11. It's kind of a long one, but that is the Would You Bin number there. Typically, you're going to want to glue this down to a surface prior to putting the paint down. You know what? This battery does not sound very charged to me. I did charge it though a week ago and I haven't used it. But that's not really, I mean that's high. What's low? That's ridiculous. I don't think this battery is fully charged. Okay, so with that said, I might want to get my other dryer out, but I think that area is dry enough. You can see clearly where the darker areas of the paint are darker. That's wet. And then right there, it's lighter in color because the DIY paint does dry lighter, a tad lighter than it does going down. That's dry. And then when you put your sealer, being wax or whatever it might be, you it gets darker again. Yeah, it gets back to the original color, just maybe slightly, not slightly as dark as the original color. Okay, so this is a piece of wood bin. When they come, most of them, the 3 gen, which is the 3rd gen, which is the most current formula for wood bin, comes on these nice backer boards. And it's so that they don't like break in the course of travel to you or whatever. And then the actual component, the wood component that makes the wood bin is much denser, and it holds the heat longer. So you have to heat these up before you glue them on, and then once they're on, you heat them up again to ensure that it is like stuck flat to the surface or around the surface. And so, yeah, I guess that's all I was saying. So I'm going to heat these up because we are going to put them on here. Oops, look at that little spot I missed. Boop, boop, boop. Good to go, good to go. So oftentimes what people do is they if they're going to be using a lot of wood bin on a project, they have a griddle like next to their work area, and then they just have it on low, and then just keep them on the griddle, like a pancake griddle, you know? And I think I'm going to move to my darn hairdryer. Stand by one. Okay, time check. Oh, we have about 10 more minutes. Oh my goodness sakes. I do apologize, guys. We go through this just about every day. Okay. Much better. Trying to heat them both up at the same time might not be the best idea. Okay. Get your glue out. Sorry guys, it's disgusting. And then you just kind of place your handle on there however you think it might look best. Didn't really plan this out too much. It's definitely got to go this way. I'm feeling like that and then bend them down, but I'm not really liking that, honestly, you guys. Let's look in our handy dandy little secret box. Let's see what we got. We got this one, but there's only one of those. One of those, I say. One of those. Ooh, we don't have much. What you been doing here? No, we don't. Well, I was keeping those in case I wanted to tell you guys what it was. For Pete's sake. Oh, I'm not absolutely 100% loving this. So, for Pete's sakes, I feel like we're just gonna not put the wood bin on. Is that terrible? I do apologize for spending all that time on heating those up, and then now we're not gonna use them. Listen to your gut, guys. That's my main thing that I want to say. Listen to your gut. Always listen to your gut. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and apply the other half a coat. Well, no, we're going to go ahead and apply the coat on the bottom is what we're going to do. Easy breezy. So the reason I decided not to use a wood bin is because I wasn't feeling it. And wood bin is, you know, it's an investment. And so I don't want to put it on there if I'm not even going to 100% love it. So with that said, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do a stencil on here anyway, and I feel like that will be enough pizzazz, if you will, because I wanted it to be a little more exciting than just this. But with that said, as I say it out loud and I'm thinking out loud, the shape of this darn little dish here is pretty exciting just in itself, so that's kind of cool, right? And you can see that it really is barely barely taking any paint because I barely had any in this jar here, and it's gonna be just enough. Just enough. I'm just trying to ensure to get underneath the lips there, all the nooks and crannies. Yeah. If you guys have enjoyed this segment of Lunchtime Paint Time with V, let me know in the comments below, and then I'll continue to do it. I'm been having fun with it. It kind of breaks up the monotony of my day and just helps me to get through the days, a long work day by yourself in the office, all by yourself. So I have this to look forward to every day, which is super nice. Okay, so now we got that coat on. Just give it a quick once over. I'm glad I did, because there's a couple areas over here that did not get paint. Okay, okay, there we go, lovelies. Button up your paint, and then push it aside, and then get going on your second coat of this. There we go. All right, guys, so you can see how easy, I mean, literally 15 minutes-ish, you can have this project just about done. I'm not sure if I'm going to have, I'm not going to probably seal it today, just because I'm going to let it set up nice overnight before I actually put the sealer on, just because I want to ensure that the glue is dried. I don't know. But my point is, we're going to be just about done with this project. It might be a little longer than 15 minutes if I didn't consider the stencil work. We'll see. Get your little chunks out. I so appreciate you guys watching my videos. We really want to get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube this year. I mean, that's a long time, a whole year. I feel like it's definitely manageable. We're at just over 1,000, and so I feel like we could definitely do it, but I haven't been promoting it all that much, and so that's something that I am doing right now. If you guys wouldn't mind hopping over to our YouTube channel, which is called Chasing Sunshine, and subscribing, I'd so appreciate it, guys. Help me make my goal of 5,000 followers this year so that we can continue to grow and continue to bring you content like this often. It's my overall objective. And we will all grow while doing so. This community is so lovely. There's so many lovely artists and people in these groups, the paint world basically. And you notice that I'm not actually painting the top of this. It's just because why waste the paint? And plus I'm going to be putting some glue there, so it's really just not painting the top there. Okay, there we go. So I actually did do 2 full coats on that. Not a big deal. It was not very much paint at all. I'm going to keep my brush just there off to the side, and we are going to go ahead and dry this bottom. Stand by 1. Okay, I basically have 5 minutes before my lunch is over, so we are going to stop right here and we'll get back at you soon. All right, y'all, we are going to finish this little project up here. Okay, so now we're going to put a stencil on this. So, girl, let's see what we got going on here. We got all kinds of fun new ones I would really love to try out. These ones are kind of more like baking themes. Oh, I like the grains. We're gonna try the grains, but I don't like the bow. But we're still gonna do it. Maybe we can do that and then, no, that won't work. This is a set that I got on Amazon. Okay. So we will use a little piece of tape. Okay, so let's see if we're going to be able to actually do this. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if I trimmed the stencil, it might work. Okay. I really don't prefer to cut my stencils. Like, I feel like that's something I don't want to do, but I don't feel like it's gonna hurt anything on this specific one. Let's see. I feel like we're just gonna have to like patch it in there. Take bits and pieces that we actually want to use with that. The first thing we're gonna do is some grain stripes. Changed my mind. And that's totally okay to do, guys. So we're gonna make some handy dandy grain stripes. And I'm just going to eyeball the center. So actually, let me just try to put this right down the center. That would probably be my best bet, and that's definitely not the center, but hey, we're gonna go with it, girls. We're gonna go with it. And then you just want to go ahead, can you see what I'm doing here? Can you see? Okay, and then what we're gonna do is just lie piece of tape right next to it, adjacent to it. Okay. And then the same thing on the opposite side. Pretty easy. And then you pull the center one up. Okay. And then you got your center grain stripe. So whenever there's curves and such, you want to make sure that the tape is pressed down in so that you don't bleed through. Okay, okay. And then you take your handy dandy paint. In this case, we're going to go ahead and use French linen from Dixie Belle because I have it and I'm going to use it. We do not retail this. It does have a different sort of smell to it. And I might even use a stencil brush. GRV stencil brush 1 inch. So again, when you stencil, you just get your paint on there and then you offload. And so this is not much different than the, this color, Prairie Gray. It's just a bit lighter is all. And so I want to really pay close attention to not get it up onto this rounded surface up here. I just kind of want to stay within the bottom daisy shape down here. Okay. And because it's just a straight line, you can just go ahead and do long strokes instead of the dabbing method with this type of stencil. Grain stacks are kind of like the exception, I think, when it comes to stenciling as far as the swirl or the dab method, because it's a longer area in which you can just lie the paint down. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. So it's as easy as that. Again, try to pay close attention to the inside daisy form there. And then while it's still wet, go ahead and pull your tape up. And then you got your somewhat straight line, okay? And so with that said, we're gonna come in with some more tape. I do want that to be dry though, so let's dry her out. Pretty dry. So then you want to use a clean piece of tape, guys, and the reason for that is because you don't want that paint to get on your other prairie gray area that's on the leftover tape. So then you're actually going to just kind of guesstimate another straight line, however thick you want that to be, and that's not exactly what I meant to do. I'm going to go over just a little bit more actually, kind of envision a straight line. There's no science to this, guys. I mean, if you're a perfectionist, then, you know, this might be a little more cumbersome for you because you're going to want that straight, crisp line. But for someone like me that is, I'm okay if it's like pretty okay. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect for me. So then this is why you had to have dried the center stripe, because you're actually lying that tape straight over it, right? Okay, because you don't want to get paint on that. And then again, I'm guesstimating my width of this second little green stripe, and I have the other one right next to it to use as a reference. Okay, I think that's pretty okay. Pretty okay. And then I think I'm just going to go crazy and use Old School. Changed my mind. Old School is a DIY clay-based paint color, and it's a charcoal gray. Okay, there we go. But always remember to button up your lids, you guys. Save the paint, save the paint. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. Ooh, this is pretty much, you guys see how dried up that is? It's probably because my lid wasn't on there correctly. So you could reactivate it with water, which I'm going to definitely do. But you don't want a soupy, droopy mess of paint when you're stenciling. So I'm just going to button that up again. Let that water kind of reactivate those clay bits. And then we'll use the black, little black dress. Okay, and that's a bit better. Just offload, offload. And because I'm using the same stencil brush, it's kind of more of a charcoaly gray, which is exactly what I wanted. I was trying to use the Old School, so it's just about perfect. Again, when you're stenciling Grainsacks, there's I feel like there's an exception, which is you can just brush it on. You still want to definitely offload, guys. You still want to do that. Okay. I wish I could get you guys in here a little closer. Just got so much going on down here. Let's see if I can get you guys a bit closer. I know I can if I tried. Okay, okay. Hey, look at that. Where there's a will, there's a way, y'all. Get your paint on there. And that's pretty darn dry, so it's about perfect. Stenciling is a little rougher for the impatient folk because I just want to get a gob of paint on there. I don't want to have to keep coming in with a dry brush, but if you want it to be a really good stencil, you're going to do it. You're going to do what it takes. Okay? I love a good old Grainsack. Ooh, that's quite a bit of paint on Be mindful of your edges again. Oops, that wasn't quite pushed down like I wanted it to be. That may be a little sloppier than the other. Okay. I think that's going to be good, girls and boys. Okay, we're done there. Go ahead and pull up your tape once again. Boom, chicky, wow, wow. How'd you like that? Now it's not perfect. Not perfect at all. But it's a-okay. It's a little different. I feel like we're going to go one step further and do a red one right down the middle. So with that said, or maybe we'll just take the prairie gray and go right down the middle for a little, like, what do you want to call it, a two-tone look-ish. Okay, so I'm just going to guesstimate about half. It's about half. Again, you guys, I am definitely not precise in any way, shape, or form here, as you can see. Okay, we're coming in with prairie gray. And then, of course, we're going to use the same stencil brush so it'll have a little bit of the black in it, which then will make it a little bit darker prairie gray. Kind of just a little different color. Okay. Okay. Pull that little bit up and see how it worked out. Got a little more bleed through on that one. Interesting. But look at that. It's kind of a cool little... Why is it so dark in here today? Cool little effect we got going on there. I'm going to dip right into this prairie gray though with this artiste brush and kind of try and clean up this bleed through over here. Use the main color, right, to then clean up any sort of mess that you want to clean up. And that would be what I want to clean up right there. I don't know if I want to try and go on the inside. I feel like I would really fumble it up. I might. Okay. I feel like that's going to be good enough. We're going to say good on that. Bucket of water right there. Okay, button up your paint. Bam, bam, bam. Dry it up. Good to go. Put this over here. Lay this down so we have somewhat of a clean surface to work on. Okay. Okay. All right, so the next little bit that I want to do is, I should distress that a little bit. I think I'm going to go grains. So with that said, I'm going to cut this just a little bit more. Can't believe I'm cutting a stencil. I am not one that normally will cut a stencil. Okay. But in the name of doing a good job, trying to do a good job, we're going to cut the stencil. Okay. You know who cuts stencils a lot is Cece from Cece Restyled. I'm always like, don't do it. And she did it. Okay. So right now I'm just trying to get it on kind of somewhat centered-ish. And I'm going to taper down just so that I can Okay, and then what color are we going to use? I feel like white would be good because it's the base of this base color here, right? And it'll tie back into that. So with that said, we're going to use another JRV stencil brush, and this is the 1/2 inch. Get your old paint on there. Offload, 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 offload. I cannot stress offloading enough. And so when I do the swirl, you guys, I always start on the plastic part and then move gradually into the actual stencil area. And you can see how that's kind of bouncing up and down. So then I'm just going to hold it down with my finger like that. Okay, so I'm just going to give that 1/2 a hair to dry, because if you just continue to go over it and over and over it straight away, you run the risk of pulling that paint up, and that's not something you want to do. So you just give it a 1/2 a second to dry, and it really doesn't take long, especially with the DIY paint. And then you just go over it again, and you know, depending on whatever look you want, I feel like 2 layers is more than enough. Okay, so that's looking fab. The S kind of messed up just a 1/2 a bit, but I'm going to do the number 45. Okay, I need a little more paint. Offload. This is what I bought this whole set of stencils for, was this that says NO45, because I just love that little look. Number whatever, it doesn't really matter what number it is. And I kind of want to go in with a little bit of red, just for a little like surprise color. So I'm gonna have to let go of that, which is gonna suck. It's gonna move. What we did. And this is just a little bit of a red that I have handy. Again, yet again, one more brush, 3/8 JRV stencil brush. Just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to try my hardest to line that back up so I don't smear it around. And then here we're trying to get the type D. Again, start on the plastic part and then slowly work your way into the stencil area. I'll let it dry just 1/2 a hair. And I'm going to try and build this color up just a little minute, because it is kind of transparent in color, really, if you look at it. And I just would like it to be like kind of more brilliant than not. Okay, that's going to be good. There we go. Grains. Look how cute that turned out, guys. I feel like that's good. It looks like there's quite a gap between the type and the grains, though, so I'm wondering what I could put there. Let's look at our other stencils. But I really do just love this little stencil here. Okay, let's see. I know that there's going to be something sweet we could put there. I just know it. I do, I do, I do. That looks good. Yeah, I like that. It's a JRV stencil. Okay, so what I'm wanting on this one is I'm going to take the tape off so that it lies flat on the back side. And then I want the Le Petit H2 LOL, whatever that is, whatever that says. Okay. Okay. Let's reuse this and this, and we'll just go in with the red, the crimson. Oh, wrong brush. I'm like, that looks a little more pink than not. Oops, I think I got a little area I didn't want to get. So when you're just using a certain, like a few little spots of a stencil like I am right here, you definitely want to either tape off the whatever's above it or below it so that you don't accidentally, you know, get some paint in that area, which I may have done up here on that U. And so if I did, basically what I'm going to do is just come in with some of that base prairie gray color and fix it, but that's one thing that you can do to mitigate that, is just tape that off on the stencil itself. Okay, we're going to be done with that. And then put your stencil here so we can wash her up. And I feel like that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? I did have one little oops right there like I was just speaking of. So basically what I'm going to do is come in, button up my stuff, come in with that original color that we used, which is Prairie Gray. Okay. And it's really not that big of a space. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. Just going to come in with this little brush here. And we're just going to go ahead and cover that up. Boop, 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 boop. Done, done, and done. And done, and done, and done. Got quite a few little, like, white specks.
For wireless fire not at the angle, medical alarm activation, the 85 years to drive, years into retirement homes.
Okay. Oh, all right, you guys. I feel like with a little bit of tape, a little bit of time, a couple little stamps, you got a sweet little Grainsack situation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just dump all my brushes in here so I could soak. Whoops, it's getting close to the edge there. Okay, and then we're going to glue this to this. And then we're going to distress it afterwards and wax it, and that's it. That's all. So I feel like the easiest way to get this mostly centered is to glue it like that. And we are going to use this Gorilla, it's just contact adhesive, clear grip glue. And I'm going to put it directly on here. And then I will come back later and actually put some brad nails in there as well. And then when you do use this type of glue, just for safety purposes, you want to let it sit up over, not safety, but for just to ensure that you're getting a good bond, put something heavy on it and let it dry overnight. That would be my recommendation. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to come in from the top and get it somewhat centered, the best of my eyeball abilities. And I feel like that's going to be pretty okay. Let's just turn it over to make sure that it looks good from each angle. Yeah, it looks good. So with that said, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and leave it like this. Oh, let me just show you guys what it looks like. There she sits. All pretty in her own little beautiful giddy up there. So I do believe that that's all we're going to do for today, but I'm going to just stress it and then wax it, and then she'll be all done. I feel like it turned out pretty okay. All right, with that said, you guys have a wonderful evening and chase that sunshine, whatever that means for you. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like, do all the things. All right, take care. Bye.